Scottish Football Social Club is brought to you by McBookie.com. Take a lookie at McBookie today.
Hello, good evening. Welcome along to the Scottish Football Social Club here in Premier Sports in association with McBookie. If you're watching for the first time, where have you been? If you've watched the first couple of episodes, you'll know that Alan Hutton and Michael Stewart are regulars. We can't get rid of them. And if you've been if you've been sending in any questions and we've not got to them, that's largely because they've been abusive, they've been insulting. Some of them have been absolutely magic. And Michael does have feelings. We might come back to that later.
Let's get them up.
We'll come back to that later on in the show, but we've got to move on. We're going to talk to Alan and Michael in a moment. Delighted to tell you we've got the Aberdeen manager, Jimmy Tilleen, with us live tonight. We'll bring Jimmy in right now. Jimmy, or Jimmy, as he's known in Scotland quite clearly. I'm not sure which one you prefer, but as long as you're winning, I'm sure you won't care.
I don't care. It's fine with both. So I like to have two names. It's nice. It's good.
Good. Delighted to hear that. And listen, a fantastic start you're off to. 8 wins in a row, 3 in a row in the league as well. You couldn't have asked for any more, could you?
No, for sure not. I have to be humble for the situation. I'm myself and some of my parts of my staff is new in the league, in the country. We have a lot to learn and improve, of course, but we also have already a good staff here and a good support. So we're really happy with the start. And of course, the players, how they perform and how they compete. And that's with away and home games with all the fans who's traveling and Pittodrie atmosphere there. So far, so good. I'm really happy with that.
Let's look at your goals then from your win over the weekend, because another 3 points on the board. This one looked good as well. Papagay with 2 headers in the match. I'm sure you're delighted with him, but overall, the team, what was the most pleasing aspect of this performance, Jimmy?
Well, this is actually how they celebrate the goals together. Try to learn a couple of plans, of course. A difficult one, but it's a good one. But how they, to me, is the most important thing, the team spirit. How they compete on the pitch, and how they help each other to grow. And that's the first sign you want to see. If it's a long season, but you have to start somewhere. And for me, that's a really good starting point.
Jimmy, in Sweden, obviously, with Elfsborg, your team was a very attacking, aggressive side. Lose the ball, press, look to win the ball back and use the wide areas in particular. It seems as if early on, certainly with Aberdeen, you've looked to replicate that style. Is that something that you're going to look to continue, or will there be a little bit of a adaptation and change over the course of the season?
I think like every manager and staff and should have something they really have a strong belief in and try to have some parts of that when you arrive into a new club, but also respect the culture and the league you are playing in. And also, of course, have some ideas about the players, what their quality is, because our job is to help the players to grow and get maximum of the performance. But the coach and the staff can control is the way you play, but then we have to grow with that and have a direction. You can't be on everything. You can't be best on everything in the league. You have to find some specific and be really good at something, and that's why we try to be like how we attack and how we defend, and working with some parts of that, how we press, the intensity we want to play, how we defend together. That we try to be experts in, but then we have to grow during time. But it's a lot of good teams in this league, and every team has their character or identity. So we try to create a strong identity and stick to that one and grow with that one.
And you mentioned the players there in the squad that you're starting to build. It's very strong at this moment in time. Some of the players that you see that you've just brought in, the likes of Kevin Nisbet and these kind of guys. Is that healthy competition really driving you forward? Like, everybody obviously wants to be part of this and playing, but you can actually tell that there must be that healthy competition within the squad.
Yeah, I think like we need to bring players here who have good potential, but also some experience like Kevin, but also some where they are in career right now, to have this hunger to try to achieve something together with Aberdeen Football Club, and that's why we're trying to create this hunger inside the squad. For me, it's just how can we try again, how can we improve, how can we compete together, and that's also to get this fire in the squad. Like the competition is there. You have to show up every training and be at your best to grow. So I think like even if it's a competition about the positions, they're still good persons, good human beings. So they're really how they talk to each other in the dressing room, how they help each other on the pitch. They still compete in one way, but I think it's still a team and a good dressing room.
Yemi, were you happy to get the Kevin Nesbitt deal done so quickly, having lost, obviously, Bojan Miovski? Such a big loss to the city, to the team, to everyone, I think, in Aberdeen, because the fans just absolutely loved him. So to get another striker done so quickly, that must have been something you were delighted to do.
Yeah, but also another thing is also Aberdeen want to be competitive, but still be a club where people can go and give something for Aberdeen and then move on. So I think we have also a clear way to work here that Aberdeen have done really well now for the last years. So I need to adapt to that and wish Bojan good luck. He's a really good guy, a good player, and then we have to look forward for the next opportunity, for the next players. I think like we have already good players here, but with Kevin we also get some experience and we know what he can do. He's really clear about his objectives to come here to help us, but also to improve himself. So I think like it's a good mix, but we always try to be proud when players leave us also, but also be strong in our belief in the future.
Daryl, I just wanted to ask you another thing about transfer and activity in the window. It's a big topic that we're going to talk about a little bit more later on. But you look at the likes of Keskinen, who's been brought into Aberdeen. How much is that in terms of him coming to the club reliant on you and you targeting him, or was that something that was already in the pipeline at the club? And how happy are you with regards to your involvement in the recruitment and the players that are coming to the club?
I think we have a really good work in Aberdeen for many years now, how they work with recruitment and also the staff around the team. Then, of course, we have to be clear what our identity is and how we want to play. And then, so if a player is going to perform here, they also have to have the skills. So it's a good match. So I think it's good that in the last part of the recruitment, I'm usually with the call with the player, but it's a lot of work done before that. I think it's also good for the players to feel like they have talking to the coach, so they feel like that the coach believe in them and arriving here, and also be clear which timeline. For some players can be a long-term process. Maybe they have potential a little bit younger and they have this way, and sometimes it's a direct impact player. So depending, but Topi was already on the list, but then maybe we move a bit higher because of how we work and how we want to play. But it's a good recruitment team in Aberdeen right now.
Yemi, is there a lot more transfer work to be done? I know managers are always so open about answering these questions at this time of the season. But for instance, in the strikers department now, do you feel you've got cover there? Are you targeting other areas? And genuinely, do you think more work could be done before the window closes?
Yeah, I think like the best way is always have to be try to stay calm and try to, if I say it's a long-term process, like we try to build something now over the 3 years is coming. That's why we have to make a plan how we want to grow. Now we have a really good start, but don't get stressed in no direction. Try to really to build the identity we want to have, and it takes time. It always takes time to try to create something and build on something. So if the window is open, it can also be in both directions. You never know if someone coming from our players and what's going to happen. So that's the answer you're going to get from me. So
that was a really good maybe. It was a maybe.
Yeah.
Don't give too much away. Don't give too much away.
Well, it looks like Oasis might be getting back together, so it's definitely maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Well put, Michael. Well put. But Yemi, also just before you go, because I know we've only got you a couple more minutes, but what's it been like for you in the city, in the Granite City? I'm sure all the fans, because there's so much positivity right now, they're desperate to say hello. Have you managed to engage with some of them outside of match days? How have you found it?
No, my first impression of Aberdeen was when I was his first time, when I met the board and the chairman and Alan and Stephen and all the other staff. It's like a really genuine atmosphere, and when you mostly have been here at Cormac Park or Pittodrie in my apartment, but sometimes I take a walk or whatever, and it's a lot of passion. It's a really genuine people, and they are so proud of the city and the football club. So I really like to be here, and I like to be a part of this journey together with them. So I'm really, really happy.
And even if you don't bring more players in now, this current squad, do you feel there's still a lot more growth possible with the players you currently have? And are you aiming high this season as a result? I'm sure European football, as you know, is what all the fans want back. They loved the taste of it last season.
Yeah, but of course, it's one part we want to achieve to be playing Europe. I think it's important for try to stay there regular and learn about that. It's good for the players to play a lot of games, to grow with that responsibility, to be competitive, to play with intensity 3 times a week. I think it's really important to players individual to grow. But we also need to understand, take game by game, and we have a good start now, but we need to stay humble. It's not so easy just to do like this and everything working. So we have a lot of things when we analyze our games. We have still a lot of things to improve and also some strengths already, but we need to improve and also be consistent. So it's a lot more work to do, and it's early, but we keep believing what we're doing and we try again.
Game by game, you say. The next game is Ross County. That's live in Premier Sports. We're really looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. Yemi, I know you've got lots of deals to get done. I know you were saying before we went live, there's 3 or 4 players due to arrive. I am kidding.
But I like it. You try. It's good.
You've got to keep trying. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And good luck for the rest of the season. We will see you Saturday. Tea time.
Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Really impressive start Aberdeen have made. We could talk the Dons all day. I'm sure lots of their fans are watching, but we've got to move on, Michael. I want to talk to you about one of the other games that you saw this weekend, which was Motherwell Hearts. First of all, on the Steelmen, outstanding in the match. Some of their young players coming to the fore, some of the new signings as well. Impressive. So before we get to the Jambos, a word on the Steelmen, please.
I think you've summed it up perfectly there. They were very impressive. The first sort of opening stages of the game, it was a wee bit loose, and they weren't really sure of what they were trying to do to stop Hearts. But after that opening period, they were well worth their victory. You see, obviously, the first 2 goals here, deliveries from Lennon Miller, who in general is a very impressive young player. I think personally I'd like to see him just playing a little bit deeper to dictate the game almost, because I think he's got a wonderful range of passing. But overall, for 8, he turned 18 yesterday actually.
That's crazy. And,
I
seen that. I knew he was young, but wow.
For somebody that age, he's got such a real calm and composed head on his shoulders. And yeah, Motherwell, outstanding, thoroughly deserved their victory. And Stuart Kettlewell is, you heard Jimmy Tilleen there talking a lot about identity. And you look at Motherwell and you can see a clear idea of what Stuart Kettlewell's trying to do. Unfortunately for Hearts at the moment,
I was just about to ask you that question. Do you see it from Hearts?
I don't really see it. No, I don't. And it doesn't help, the flitting from a back 4 to a back 3, a back 5. I mean, Hearts, you played at the back.
No, it's a nightmare. I'm not going to lie. You like being set, not in your ways. You have to be able to change every now and then, but to go from a 4 to a 3 to 4, it doesn't help. So they need to have an identity.
We talked last week, Michael, about the chopping and changing, and this huge game ahead on Thursday. Hearts were very unlucky to lose to Victoria Pilsen during the, but there's millions on the line on Thursday. And again, when you see that sort of performance at the weekend, I think it takes the spirit out the fans again. They can turn this around. This is early in the season, but there's lots to be concerned about right now. Even I think, Alan, before we were going live tonight, you were asking Michael about Lawrence Shankland and his performances this season, and maybe he's not getting the service he needs, Michael. Yeah. But so many question marks right now.
Yeah, there is, and I think, look, that's part of the job when you're leading a big club, that you need to handle when things are not going well, just to try and calm the ship and make sure everybody's refocused on what's going on. That's what happens. The scrutiny is there, and that is understandable at the moment, because it doesn't look like there's a clear strategy or an identity to the team. There's big games coming around. Results aren't particularly good. And the talisman in Lawrence Shankland hasn't scored. And it doesn't look like he's in areas that are going to. So I feel at the moment, they need to get back to basics. Get back to basics, simplify the game. To a large extent, it's what Jimmy Tillene's done at Aberdeen. It was a good squad there, but he simplified the game. He's made it a little bit more back to basics, play to the strengths. But the big problem I have for Hearts at the moment is, and I said this weeks ago, even at the start, they don't have pace, they don't have width. It limits what you can actually do.
Yeah, and look, obviously, fingers crossed for Thursday. It'd be great to get another Scottish club in the Europa League, and they can turn that round against Victoria Pilsen, who've just sold their big centre-half, their star centre-half. So that maybe helps Hearts in that regard. Let's move on again. I want to get another guest on. I believe we've got Stiliyan Petrov somewhere waiting patiently in the wings. Apparently his camera was off. I'm hoping...
Hope it is off. Keep it off.
There he is.
Hey!
He's on with his old teammate and Alan Hutton as well. Stiliyan, just before we get into Celtic and the rest, any stories about Alan? Because we love a good story.
Stan, don't start. Behave yourself here.
Listen, there's a lot of stories, but our stories are secret. We can't just share.
Alan, was he a good teammate, Alan?
Oh, he was the best, but it's amazing because when I still lived down there, we used to do five-a-sides. It was a good standard, and Stan cannot turn it off. He used to smash everybody, slide tackle on the AstroTurf. I'm like, Stan, what are you doing? Like, calm down. He just can't help himself, honestly.
I don't play anymore. Just to let you know.
Too many reds. You're off.
I'm sure you've got some really good stories for us once we finish this programme that are totally inappropriate, like some of the comments that were coming in last week. But Stiliyan, let's talk Celtic, because I know you were watching them in Paisley yesterday. Another performance where they seemed to just cruise through large parts of the match, scoring some really good goals too. They're at the top of their game right now, aren't they?
They are. It was really comfortable game yesterday. I don't think St Mirren has offered anything new or different to really stop Celtic. But I had the opportunity to travel with Celtic at their preseason in America, and I'll tell you what, guys, I'm really surprised where the team is in terms of match fitness, sharpness, preparation. How much they pay attention into detail, especially in the individual development of their roles and what is required for them to do in certain times in the game and certain stages at the game. So it's now you can see that everything is paying off from the preseason, from the preparation, and they're really looking like a really powerful and well-drilled team.
Yeah. Stan, does that not just show you what a top manager Brendan Rodgers is, and also the staff that he's got behind the scenes? Obviously, it was a big part of him coming back was that John Kennedy stayed, and I'm no doubt that's what was on show for you when you saw that in America.
Michael, I was really surprised with amount of details and amount of attention that Brendan Rodgers and his staff pay into every single details of the game. Yeah. And as you're saying, there was hundreds of staff there. At one point, I was looking and I'm thinking, who are all these people? Where they're coming from? What they're doing? But I'll tell you what, there is a non-stop process of from the morning through the training, after the training, preparation for the next day, the games. It's about trusting people that you have beside you to give you the relevant information about the players condition, the players details of what they have to improve, and really to manage that and to specify what exactly you need and how to use it. I mean, I've seen some of the sessions about working of, yesterday I was asked the question, but that question wasn't continued about, the set pieces. What is important to the set piece? Apparently we're doing how to prepare not to concede set pieces, how to keep the opposition away from goal, where to concede set pieces so they can be more predominant of what to do, how to do it, and how to protect the goal. So it was interesting how you even paying attention to these little things of taking your disadvantage away from it and make sure that you turn it into your advantage and make sure that you give yourself the best possibility to win a game.
I actually just got a text there from Brendan Rodgers. He says you're not coming on the trip next summer because you're giving away all the secrets.
Hey, Stan, give us some more. What else happened? Come on, give us some more so we can.
Oh, but
This is all music. This is all music to Hut's ears.
I'm just.
Is Juventus not doing that already?
No, but Stan, see everything that you're saying, like, and you've been there and you've seen it all your way pre-season. I sit and I watch the Celtic games, and they look levels above everybody. To be quite honest,
like yesterday, we can have a look at the goals, Alan. Some great goals.
They are, but that's how they play. They just control the games. At times, it looks very easy for them, effortless. They're just playing the ball about. They know where to be. I mean, McGregor. I mean, he's done that already this season. He's just the kind of backbone of that team. Everything goes through him, but they just look levels above. And I do sit here and worry a little bit for next week because I know Rangers had a good performance, but Celtic are just there just now, and they're just purring, and it's a worry.
I'll come back to the derby in just a moment, but look, we've already talked about Brendan Rodgers. He's got high expectations, as you know, for Celtic. Matt O'Reilly has officially gone today, Stilian, so all eyes on the rest of this transfer window. And post-match yesterday, to some of the written press, Brendan said some things that I think are worth noting. I want to read just a couple of paragraphs here to the viewers if they're watching and they've not heard some of Brendan's comments, because he's got high demands, and I think this says it all. He said, there are a number of things I won't go into, but it's definitely something, having come back in and gone through 3 windows now, we have to put right as a football club. We shouldn't have been getting into this last week in the position we're in. We can't be happy just to make our money and build our pot, because the bottom line is on the pitch. That's the bottom line. The supporters, they pay the money. I look back to the COVID times here. The Celtic supporters sold the stadium out and they weren't even allowed in. So we have the duty to put the best team in the pitch. Now, Stilian, I think it's obviously a clear message to the board that one of his most important players is gone, and he's expecting some really good business to be done this week.
It's a must. It's a must. I mean, it's something very important to understand is when you play for a big club, you expect a top players when they have a season like Matt O'Reilly had. You would always caught the eyes of the teams down south in England, and that was inevitable. You knew that will happen, that the people and clubs will come and pay the money. But it's very important to have a plan and a process on where a player leaves, especially a big player when he leaves. How are you going to replace him? How are you going to reinvest that money? There's a question for you guys. Do you see now Matt O'Reilly is going for 25, 30 million? Do you see Celtic spending 25 or 30 million on a player?
Well,
No, but no, it was interesting though, because Brendan Rodgers spoke about it and he said it's taken Matt O'Reilly X amount of years to get to this stage to sell him for that money. So will they be looking to bring somebody in? And as you say, the process to build for the right time and then get rid. I don't see them going out and spending 30 plus million, if I'm honest. But it's football, you never know, I guess.
Michael?
They might spend it, but they won't spend it on one player. Brendan Rodgers yesterday, actually, after the game, that question was sort of put to him, and he took it like Stan had asked it, as if it was going to be spent on one player. And his response was, he laughed. He laughed and said, it's that ridiculous a question, you don't need me to answer it. So that tells you, Celtic are never going to spend that on one player. But I tell you what his comments to the written press say, he's expecting at least that, if not more, to be spent on the squad to strengthen it. And I also think back to when Adam Idah signed last week, he referenced the fact of perhaps people see it as being a little bit more than should be. But he was like, he's already paid that back in terms of what he's done for the club. So I think you can see already behind the scenes, there's a bit of a battle going on with regards to, look, there needs to be a recognition of where the market is. Even the market that Celtic are operating in is not the 4 and the 5 million. It needs to be pushed up a level to being closer to the 10 million for the players that are going to actually be making any sort of impact.
Interesting you say about £10 million, because one player that's been linked with Celtic, a return to Celtic today, and look, Stilian, I know you'll tell me lots of players are going to be linked, but interesting on this one, Odsonne Edouard is a name that's come up today. Celtic brought in about £10 million plus for him, if you remember. They paid 10, I should say, brought in more. But I'm wondering if I feel like that might be paid out to bring Odsonne Edouard back to the club. Would you like to see him coming back to Celtic still? Would that be the kind of the profile of the player you think, get him in now and he could really improve them going into the Champions League?
Oh yeah, of course. The player with his caliber and ability, he will definitely improve Celtic, especially the way Celtic is playing. I think any good players, I don't know if you guys will agree, but any good players with a good football brain, good ability, he will fit in that style of play and that type of football in a perfect way. And Edouard have the ability to do that. He likes to link up with the players. He's a good goal scorer. He's got ability to run behind. He can come up. He's technically well all-round player. So for me, it will be a great addition. And for Celtic to have a chance in the Champions League, especially with the new format, I think with the new format, many teams will have opportunity to go further and to be much more beneficial for them financially to go further in that competition.
Stan, as well, though, you think he knows the club. He's been there. He's been a winner there. He knows the pressure that he'd be under, and he's not fazed by it. He's went down south. He's tried it. If there's an opportunity for him to come up, he definitely makes it stronger. I mean, they don't necessarily need to be stronger for the league, but when you start talking about Champions League, they start hitting those numbers for players, 10 million and the likes, because that's what you need to compete.
Yeah, he was outstanding at Celtic. Look, he might not have set the world on fire at Crystal Palace, had some good spells there, but maybe hasn't been the clinical finisher we saw at Celtic at times. But I'm sure coming back to a place, to a manager he knows well, it'd be a perfect fit. Look, just before, I know we've only got a few minutes to go, but Alan, just before we start dealing with more Celtic transfers, the Old Firm is coming. You mentioned it. In what shape do Rangers go into this game, do you feel?
I'm not sure, to be quite honest. I think it's been a little bit up and down in terms of performances. Look, it was really good against County at the weekend. I thought it was good to spread of goals. I think that's something that Rangers needed. Matondo, I thought, was really good. He needs to do that consistently. So they are, yes, at this moment in an okay place, but I just don't feel they control games enough to this point, out with this game, the way Celtic do. So I think they're up against it, especially going to Parkhead. They have struggled there, but look, at the end of the day, it's an Old Firm game. Anything can happen. I mean, form tends to go out the window sometimes, but I still worry, if I'm totally honest.
Interesting.
What I think we both played in those games, you know, there is no such a thing as a favourite. Those games, you know, previous form and what you've done, you don't count. It's completely different. Whereas I think at the moment, Celtic are well ahead. They're not consistent throughout the game. They have a longer periods. They can control the game. They can punish teams. Well, Rangers at the moment they don't have that consistency. You can see part of their game, especially longer periods in their game, they're vulnerable. They can concede goals. They can definitely score a goal, but they can concede goals. And
you've seen that against Ross County early on. You see that Butland with a good save. There was a couple of opportunities, quick transitions for County. They could have, and another day they could have scored. But I think that's where Celtic are very good.
The other big thing that concern for Rangers is you look around the team, you're going, where's the leaders? You know, Celtic at the moment they're in a great place. The collective unit is there. All the leaders are in the team and they're fit. You look at Rangers and you're going, where are the leaders? Lundstrom's left. Goldson's left. You're looking and saying, where are those guys that are stepping up to the plate? Obviously, Tavernier is still around. But you get a sense and a feeling that they need some experience and a few extra leaders in the team to see them through what is a difficult period at the moment.
What do you think, Alan? When you look at that Rangers side, when you look at that dressing room, do you see enough leadership?
No, that is what it is. I mean, if we go back to the start of the season, the boys that left, Michael just mentioned a few. I think it was all the experience heads ran down their contracts and they left, which is a bad cycle to be in. They need players for now. I understand what the manager's trying to say. He's trying to build something. He's got the foundations there, some young kids that are coming in, but you need people that are going to improve it right now. And that's what they'll be looking at. He spoke about they're going to have a busy window towards the end of incomings. So fingers crossed they can get people through the door that he needs because they need that experience now.
What do you think, Stilling, about what Philip Clement, the Rangers boss, has said ahead of this game? He says he's going to Celtic Park and he's going to have a real goal, set the team up to attack like he did last season. But if you remember, Rangers created plenty of chances in the Old Firm matches, just couldn't get the result, obviously, they were looking for. But the way they're playing right now with their personnel and the way Celtic are playing, if Rangers go attack and are open in that game, would you, I'm sure you would be concerned, but would you, if you're a Celtic player, be delighted to hear that?
I'll tell you what, one thing you know, you guys, I don't know if you're going to agree or disagree with that. I think if Rangers have a chance to win, they have to take Celtic out of their comfort zone. And out of their comfort zone is the passing game, controlling the game. Because what I saw the first 3 games of the season is you have players and they know how Celtic set up, and there's not such a high press. They don't put pressure on the important players. Like Michael was talking about leaders, Callum McGregor and Maida. You know the strength, you know what they do. But even Samir, like, you try to press, but you try to press with like 50%. You don't go full power. You don't go and get on people's face. I mean, Alan will know what I would do. I used to captain the team. I used to be part of the team. We played together. And if we see that the team have advantage of keeping the ball, you get in their face. If somebody take a zone and Alan is there, he's like, get on him. Make sure you don't make it comfortable, and he'll be on his face. You know what to do. This is what Clement is saying now. We will go, we'll push them, and you have to. Yeah, you have to take risks. Celtic do have speed. They have power at the moment, especially with Kuhn and Maeda. I mean, especially Maeda. This guy, I think you've got more energy than anybody
That's a
else.
worry for me.
Yeah, it's a huge worry. Because what Celtic has built up, they have added the players. They've got players that suit that type of a game. And if you take a risk, if you're not ready to have a quick transition, then you'll be in big trouble. But in football, you have to take risk. You have to make it difficult for the opposition.
I couldn't agree more with Stan. And the problem is that there is that risk and reward. I'll feel, and I think it's what Stan's saying as well, very much. See, if you sit back and you just try to contain, eventually Celtic find their rhythm, they find their groove, they'll break you down and they'll score. And you end up losing the game and you feel crap because you're like, that wasn't even enjoyable. Whereas if you go out and you try and land a few punches and you disrupt Celtic, you might end up losing the game, but you've got a better opportunity of actually getting something from the game as well. I think you sit back, you're just resigning yourself to losing. You have to go and try and, as Stan said, is take them out their comfort zone.
Alan, if you were in charge of Rangers going into this game, how would you set them up, and would you have a real go?
I think it's a happy medium. I think if you open up to this team, they can rip you apart. So you have to watch what you're doing. I think he will set up relatively the same way that he has. He will try and contain them at times. But as the guys are saying, you have to land your own punches. You look at the likes of Matondo, the pace that he's got. Can he be consistent? Can he have that same sort of performance against a better team? Because everybody's going to have to play to their best of their ability if they're going to get a result. I like that. I like listening to him. I like what he says. I like that he's going to go there and have a go at it. But look, you have to be careful. You can't go all guns blazing because Celtic will pick you off. But look, it's going to be an interesting game. But I'm slightly worried. I just think Celtic, especially in wide areas with the pace that they've got, the energy that they've got, how they control games. Look, it's going to be an interesting game. We'll see. We'll see.
Celtic have also really dominated that midfield battle the last few games, Alan, the last few derbies. And Rangers, it looks at times like they've been overpowered in there. So do you go and play somebody like a Lawrence ahead of two maybe deeper midfield players with the two wide players and a striker, Dessers, you would assume would start top? Or do you have to think about playing three midfielders with more discipline here, maybe which Rangers have lacked against Celtic in recent matches?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's an option. Look, I think Lawrence has done decent. He's looked fit. He's kind of keeping away from injuries. Can you ask him if he's going to play in that number 10 role? Look, can you just drop in? Can you drop in McGregor? Can you try and cover him at certain times within the game? He's not going to be able to do it all the time. You're needing every player to put in a shift, but I think you have to try and do something for yourself as well. Like, you have to go forward and try and create opportunities. You can't just sit back. So yes, look, it's going to be hard, and I think that's one of Celtic's strongest areas as well, is the midfield. I know O'Reilly's left, but still, they're very strong within there. So can maybe Lawrence drop back in if he's going to play and help out?
Stilian, are you confident?
I'm confident. I'm confident. I mean, I've seen the team from the start, preparing and going through the first couple of games and where they stand at the moment. they're really comfortable. They're really comfortable. They know what they're doing. They're well prepared. They've got everybody available. Ready to get the chance. And now you can see there's a lot of competition in that team. There's players that are willing now to come on and do well and stay in the team because they enjoy it. I mean, winning is enjoyable. When you win, everybody wants to be part of it, and they play with a smile. They're really flawless. It looks like everything is good. I mean, they only had one shot on target for the first 3 games, so that must give them a confidence that they walk into this game with a good confidence and ready to win it.
We will see what happens at the weekend, but just a quick reminder as well, live in Premier Sports, Saturday tea time from Dingwall, Ross County against Aberdeen. We're looking forward to that one as well. And of course, then Premier Sports Cup quarter-finals a few weeks ahead as well. 2 live matches, the other games live on the Premier Sports app as well. So loads of good football to look forward to. Stilian, thank you very much. Really good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Alan, thanks, guys. Great to see you.
What a guy.
Thank you. And of course, we'll be back next Monday as well on the Scottish Football Social Club. We'll see you then. Thank you very much. Bye for now.
The Scottish Football Social Club is brought to you by McBookie.com. Take a lookie at McBookie today.